So I was gonna post this session and type all the text and everything on it. But then I thought, how boring is that? Why don't I just make a short, really short video about the session? Because I thought it was so interesting because it kind of shows how to protect our profits, and how to, I don't know, there's like a feeling. In other words, we're focusing because we watch so carefully expectation. Like we know in 10 spins, we're supposed to get a hit. And if we don't, we're getting negative variance. Okay, that's just, and that can, I mean, even if that just applies to only this 37 spin window we're looking at, that's what we're experiencing. And we know this. And so when we go through and we notice these things about expectation, we can kind of get a feeling for what we should kind of do in order to flow with how roulette's treating us. We try to make informed decisions about what's happening currently. Because if there's one thing I learned in using Renaud's system and working with hot numbers for an extended period, it's that roulette is constantly ebbing and flowing. Things will go hot and cold and hot and cold so many times, switching all the time, switching all the time. And it's so we have to be real conscious, and I think that's why having a 37 spin window is so helpful because it just focuses on the most immediate time frame. It's in front of us, and we get it. We just have an immediate statistical picture. What are we doing right now? What's happening right now? To kind of get a feel for things. Okay, and sure, like we remember what the past window was, how we were treated. We know if we got positive variance or not, or negative variance, or if it was according to expectation, or we kind of get a feeling for how roulette's treating us, and it's this picture that we're painting for ourselves, statistical picture that kind of guides us on how to flow with things. So there's a couple of moves that I made in here that I thought I could illustrate. So we start off here at the all-time high at 526.20. Okay, here's our first data point right here. We went 37 spins before getting a hit. So what's the expectation on one hit? It's 10 spins. What's the expectation for 37 spins? 4 hits. We only had one. That's like 3 hits missing. All right, now what does this mean? Well, that means we've experienced some pretty significant negative variance, really significant. And this is a sign that we're being treated poorly. Okay. And well, the first remedy is that I'll just tell you, my outlook on the future is looking really good right now. I'm thinking to myself, you know what's going to happen? Just like it happens almost all the time, roulette's going to surrender and it's going to start hitting really fast and strongly. And so I need to take advantage of that, and I feel safer in dropping to level 2. Okay, we get our hit. We're obviously shy by quite a bit here. I mean, this is a main number it's hitting, but we're down, 100 and what is that, 40 units? So we're down 140 units. So that's significant. All right. Now, normally the system says, like if you go with the 9 back system, we would just drop back to spin. And this is literally the way that the internet, the inside DeLambert guy would play it. He would actually drop back 9, so he'd go to spin 28, if you can imagine, and then he'd start spinning again, you know. And if he hits spins 42, 15 spins, he'll spin 15 times. If he hits spin 42, he quits, or pretty much, because chances are, he's going to be pretty much exhausted on his 500 units, and he's going to have to quit for the session. He loses the session. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to retreat. This is what I'm talking about. Why should we? And I made this statement long time ago. I could show you the post where I was like, something's not right about how we approach these situations where we're so far in the progression that we're really pushing it statistically. We don't really give the statistics much of a chance to catch up to us. And he mentions that you can actually start over. You could just go back to the beginning. But no, I don't think that's the right answer either. So again, we just got our first hit on spin 37. I'm looking really positively for the next window. I think it's going to go really well, and so I drop down to level 2, okay, and start. And we do. We get a spin almost immediately on spin 2. It's a side hit, okay, and so with the hit on spin 2, I'm like, let's keep going. All right. Well, the very next spin is another side number. All right, well, we've made a dent, but we're only 3 spins in. I've got, what, 34 spins before the window's up. I'm going to, we're way ahead on expectation, but it's normal for the fact that we just got nailed so badly. So I'm going to keep going. All right, and I did, and then we finally hit on spin 17. Now, all right, so what am I thinking to myself? Well, I'm thinking, dang, 17 is really close to 18, which is really close to one half, of the picture, and I've had 3 hits in the last 17 spins. Expectation is really 28. I sh- you know we should we're getting really favorable variance. I'm thinking maybe this would be a really good time to retreat. Okay, so rather than spin through here, and this is the danger point right here, where you got to make judgment calls like that. Like, I just got 3 hits, 17 spins. I'm way ahead of expectation. My chips are doubled because I'm on level 2. My unit size, is doubled. And so I decided, well, let's see. We have 524.84. That's actually 4 units greater than what we started. What I'll do is I'll rake in these chips. I'm going to rake these in and note it on the list, so that it would go level 1, it would say 524.80, and then there'll be a slash, and then it'll say 524.84. And that's what happens right here. I noted the recovery profit. I reset the session. So basically, I claimed those 4 units, and I said, let's get a fresh statistical picture and see what it tells us. All right, and so that's what I did, and we got a hit, our main number hit, on spin number 6. Okay, that bumps us up to 525.48. All right, so I can't very well stop right here. It's not an all-time high. We're it's still quite shy of that. So I'm going to continue on, and I did, and we got another main number hit on spin 20. Okay, and then the total was 526.12. Well, that's 8 units. Another super important judgment call. Um, it's I am not going to double my chips after getting these 2 hits like this. This was like really fortunate that we got a 0 to hit on spin 20, because if it had been a side number, we would be further in debt. At that point, I'd rake the chips and then make a note. We'd have a higher total, so we'd move forward that way. But in this case, I went 526.12. Well, we're down 8 units, so that's enough for me. I'm going back to level 1. I'm not going to risk anymore. It looks like roulette's. What's the pattern here? Well, expectation is 18 spins. We're on spin 20, so it looks like things are slowing down. I'll accept that. I'm going to go back to level 1 and protect my profits, because I just gained 526.12. I don't want to risk that up down at level 2 and get hit even harder and go lower. You know what I mean? That's a successive drop, and I don't want that. I want to protect my profits, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not about to spin through. I'm not going to risk this. I'm going to go back up to level 1, reset the session, and start spinning. And as it turns out, okay, that's fine. As it turns out, we got our main number to hit on spin 1. But I think that even though that's the case, I think the judgment call was really good here, and it's really getting a feel for how roulette's treating us at the moment, and what we think it's going to do, what we think it's, what state is it in, and what is it, what does that mean regarding our future? Well, making those judgment calls, because as it turns out, we were really super fortunate, and it was the number 2 becomes ordinary. Well, this might be, if it was 28 spins ago, then number 2 becomes a repeater at this point. So it's actually a fast number. It's repeating, and we got that and took us to new profit. And then what would I do? Well, I would just keep spinning. Okay, but I just basically made it an all-time high just for because I knew I was going to make a demonstration video about it. So that's pretty much it. Real quick video just to go through that, and these are the sorts of calculations that we've got to be aware of and we got to make in our recoveries. We've really got to have our pulse, our finger on the pulse of how roulette is functioning at the moment. Absolutely crucial to making decisions. I can show you in that big one that I posted just recently where I actually did protect my profits early. I went up early a couple times because, and like at the end when I went to level one, I went up early. There was a time when I went to level two early because I really felt like the positive run was over, and I didn't want to take a hit on on level three. I didn't want that to happen. So, I just said I think it's over. I'm going to level two. I don't care. There's also a strategy to go to level one. Just if you think a streak is over, you think it's about to turn ugly, you can literally go to level one and just take it on level one, and then once everything normalizes, like you have positive statistics. In other words, like there's been a big gap, and now all of a sudden you get a hit. You could literally drop right back down to the level you were on and continue. And that's a strategy that has worked also. So anyway, that's it. That's pretty much it, and I'll post the data in there and the video link. Thanks.